Welcome back. We're going to talk restaurants and treat your servers well. And I'm not just talking about tipping, folks. I mean, treat them like a human being. So, Yasmin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Really looking for this. You host of a great show as well. So, why don't you share a little bit about yourself and then we'll jump into the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been serving for a while now. I work at a casual dining restaurant. I usually put in, 10 hours a day and working 5 days a week. It's a very fast-paced job, and my podcast just aims to talk about some of the absurd moments that a lot of us servers see in restaurants, and just giving voice to all my customer service workers out there.
A lot of people don't realize, a 10-hour shift, those are 10 hours that you're usually standing up. So, you comfy shoes, really, really important. And it's
Absolutely.
fast paced where
It is.
as a customer, you're coming in, even if you said fast casual. So that means it's going to be a quicker turnaround. So as a customer, my experience is okay, I was there for half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, maybe a little bit less, depending on what I order. And that's in our mind, that's all that we've encountered. Well, you're doing that time and time and time and time again,
Yeah.
dealing with customers that are bringing in all kinds of different things, whether they're having a great day or they're having a bad day or somewhere in between. The economic challenges that we face in this world, health, there's so many different things that humans bring in. And
Sure.
unfortunately, little things can set us all off. Doesn't matter what kind of situation we're in. But I find it, and this is just an observation that I've had over the years, is not a lot annoys me in life, but there are certain things that do. And one thing that does annoy me is when customers treat the people that are serving them rudely. It has always bothered me because
Yeah.
you're working very hard to meet your obligations, your financial, way of life, all of those kind of things. The least we can do as a customer is acknowledge that work. It's very hard work,
Yeah.
and to treat you as a human being and understand it. And when you approach it that way, it's different. A lot of times I say, you know what, and we've seen this like with, the television show Undercover Boss,
Oh,
where,
yeah.
the boss, you know, has never worked on the front lines before. All of a sudden, there they are, and they get this awakening, and they go, "Oh my!"
Yeah.
And in some companies, it completely changes them, and they realize, okay, we have to go about this differently. And
Yeah.
I think customers, anybody that's ever worked in the service industry, recognize the demands that are on there and what you have to do to, you know, basically put up some shields to protect yourself. And sometimes those things get through, and you start feeling the energy of people that are bringing it in and making your day bad. And it's like, life's hard enough as it is. Start treating people a little bit better. And we can do that not just in the restaurant industry, but across the board. But I think in with obviously with your experience and working in an industry like the restaurant industry, the behind the scenes, behind the curtain, or behind the doors. There's a lot going on that a lot of customers don't see,
Yeah.
and that can make a restaurant a fun place to work or not so much. So, what are some of the things you see and experiences that you've seen, both personally, but also, in the industry as a whole?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, like you said, behind the scenes, there is a lot going on. It's like this well-oiled machine. I mean, we've got, the servers are the face of the restaurant. We come, we take your orders, but you've got in the back, you've got cooks, you've got people doing prep, you have the managers, there's the support staff, there's, your host, your busser, and everybody has to come together. And the best teams are the ones that, genuinely enjoy working together, want to help each other out. But there are some restaurants where that, doesn't happen. Somebody else is picking up somebody else's slack. You're having to work extra hard. And it is really taxing on the body. And I think that piece of it is what customers don't see. And like you said in the very beginning, it's not just that one table that we're dealing with, but it's over and over and over again. And that's the nature of the job. But it's not, I mean, if somebody asks me for, let's say, napkins, and then I come back to the table and they're like, well, can I have some water? And then I come back to the table and it's something else and something else. Um, Granted, it is my job, but compound that by however many tables I get that day. Let's say it's, 100, 200 tables, especially in a dining room with such a quick turnaround. Then it's so many steps in a day, and you need those comfy shoes, but sometimes comfy shoes can only take you so far. So I think just being courteous to the server and understanding that granted, they are there to wait on you, and granted, everybody's expectation of dining experience is so different, especially this day and age. It's a tough economy out there, and going out to a restaurant is fun. You want to have a good experience, enjoy it. But I mean, I think just be mindful that it shouldn't also come at the cost of the poor server. If they're at the table, you need a few things. You can ask them all at the same time. We don't need to send them back and forth a million times. I think the other thing is that, like you said, servers are human beings. And if we ask you, hi, how are you? How's your day going? You don't have to just launch into what you want to order that day. There is absolutely, we're there to also converse with you and make your dining experience pleasant. So if you want to, put in that little extra effort, it makes our day better as well if we feel like you're enjoying your dining experience. It's okay to talk to the server. Yes, we can take your order, but we also like to chat and keep things light so that we can continue on with our day also from an emotional standpoint. So I think there's just a lot of things that go on in the restaurant that people, I think, once you've worked in it, you just become more compassionate. And it's funny because I can recognize those customers. When I go over, I'm like, I feel like this person may have worked in the restaurant industry just by how they're treating me. Like they're just so um just cautious and just very wanting to know how my day is. And it's really refreshing to have customers like that. And I think we can all pay it forward.
Of course. And, there are restaurants that I frequent from time to time. And there was one in particular that, closed a couple of years ago, and we went there quite a bit
Yeah.
before that. And, knew, many of the staff just because we were in there all the time. It was like usually a Friday night kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we would go in and we'd talk to them and ask them about things. And we'd hear the next table over ask something, and I'd make eye contact with them, and sometimes it'd either roll the eyes or I can't cross my eyes, but I'd certainly try, like, okay. And they're trying to bite back laughing because they don't want to laugh at the customer that's causing all kinds of grief. But it's just like, I got you, I know what's going on. It's
Yeah.
like, so how's your day? And but I, and ask it in a way where I can, because I knew them well enough, I could sense that they're having a good day or they're having a rough
Yeah.
day. And it's like, okay. And, I don't drink anymore, but I used to. And, there were times where I'm like, if you need to take a sip of mine, go ahead, kind of thing. Just so we won't tell anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
And just like, is I don't. A lot of times they say, I don't think the sip's gonna do it. It's like, well, you spilled it. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. But whatever it takes. And again, it's just when you have customers like that and people in life like that,
Yeah.
it helps a little bit because yes, there's a lot of physical labor with this type of role, but the emotional labor on it as well, because you have this constant influx of customers. And I used to work in healthcare, so it's rare for me to make a comparison to healthcare to other entities because there's a lot of differences. But running a restaurant is very similar in doing intake for the emergency room. You have no idea who's coming in. I mean,
Yeah.
you might have some idea,
Yeah.
But based on the geographic area that you're in, you may have typical customers. But if you're in, like say, Toronto, for example, or other international cities, you've got people coming in from all over the planet. So
Mhm.
you may not see the same type of people over and over again.
Yeah.
So that can take a toll. And even from a restaurant prepping standpoint, it's like, okay, this is our menu. We don't cook it all at once. We
Right.
have to have the ingredients, we have to prep and all of that. And you go, okay, seems like today everybody wants this. Or
Yeah.
the time of this recording, St. Patrick's Day is coming up. So better secure the corned beef order now.
Yeah.
Get all of that ready to go. Or bangers and mash or whatever you happen to have at your pub or your restaurant. And others are like, do you have that? No, no. So I find the community that I'm in, it's like hardly anybody has corned beef. And of course, wife asks for it. I'm like, all right, this is going to be an adventure. Where am I going to find this? And it's like, then you do the research and you find it, and you go, that's the most expensive damn sandwich I've ever bought in my life. But that's all right. It was. She was happy. I was happy. Everybody happy. But getting back to it, again, this goes back to taking care of people and taking care of our neighbors and our community is understanding that the emotional labor of this type of industry is really present, and there's burnout, there's concern. We've seen, especially in Canada, and it's not exclusive to Canada, but in Canada there's been thousands of restaurants that have closed in the last couple of years and anticipated more restaurants. So throw that into the mix going, well, if I don't like it here, I'll just go work over at this restaurant. Well, that restaurant may not be there in 6 months, and just because the current economic challenges that we're facing in Canada, for sure, and again across the planet, there's all kinds of different factors, and I stay away from the political side of things here, but everybody can read between the lines what I'm talking about. And I'm a dual citizen too, so basically, I go, I'm Switzerland. I'm not talking about this because I am not going to win this equation, no matter what. If I say what side or other side, I don't believe in any of the sides. Just play nice with people, treat nice, and don't tax people to death. But uh, in the work you do, and obviously you chose this field and industry, and while it's all challenging, I sense you still love it. That's why you're still in it. So we'll flip the table, pardon the pun there. But I'm just curious as to, what are the things that, enlighten you about this type of work? What are some things that really brighten your day that you choose to work in this industry?
Yeah, so I think it's important to note that the team really makes or breaks where you work. As with, I mean, any industry, any job, when you have when it like I know sometimes people say, "Oh, we're a family," just to make a place of employment seem appealing. But I really feel like where I work, we do feel like a family where I can ask, one of the other servers if I'm in a pinch, can you help me out? They're more than happy to. I'm comfortable approaching the manager if there's an issue, they have my back. And it doesn't happen very often because of the nature of the restaurant that I'm in. But I can appreciate that it can happen at other restaurants, more bar type environments. But if someone is harassing you or being impolite or something of that nature, I remember one customer swore at me, and then the owner was like, they're banned. Like, I won't have anybody swearing at my servers. And I just felt like people have your back. So when you're not just running this game by yourself and you've got people to support you, it makes the job more enjoyable. And when you can have a laugh about something in between tables, something that's going to brighten your day, is going to boost your morale, I think that's so important because, like we were talking about, sometimes people. have their off days. Sometimes people come in and they don't realize that maybe their energy is rubbing off on you and it can sort of like kill your mood. But certainly when you have a good team, that definitely helps. And I think also I'm really lucky and blessed that the community in the area is so supportive and enjoys the restaurant that I work at so much. We have a lot of regulars who come in and they're just happy to talk to you. They're genuinely happy to see you. Like, oh, hey, you're, one of my favorite servers. Oh, we love coming here. We love the service. And then when you hear that type of positivity, it sort of gives you this little boost. Like, okay, I can do this for, another 5 hours till I get to the end of my shift. And I don't think people realize paying your server a compliment is like you make their life for that day, honestly. Like it really just fuels you for the rest of the day. So when you encounter just lovely people, sort of, especially with everything going on in the world, it restores your faith in humanity. Like we're not alone. Like there's just a lot of other kind, happy people going about living their life in the world, and you connect with these people. So I think it's a mix of a lot of things. And I think I'm also just naturally one of those people. I do like um serving, supporting, making people happy. Like, I feel like when I see people enjoying themselves and sort of I'm part of that, it makes me happy too. So, definitely there are some great parts to serving life.
Yeah, we think about the basics that we need in life: food, clothing, and shelter.
Yeah.
When you go to a restaurant, your server is, and they probably didn't prepare the food unless it's a real small diner. Maybe they did. But it's, they're bringing you food, and it's for nourishment. It's sometimes it might be, okay, I'm eating this. My doctor will not be happy with me eating this. I don't care. I'm going to eat it anyway.
Right.
It makes us feel better and helps us navigate through our days and all of that. And it's just showing that appreciation. And it's like, I really appreciate that. And again, I'm a big fan of making compliments. And I remember this one wait person that was at a restaurant we used to go to years ago. um, she had a bounce to her. It wasn't, like a physical impairment, just the way that she moved. She enjoyed herself so much. She kind of bounced a bit when she was walking. She was just so happy about what she did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, how do I praise her for this without sounding like I'm mocking her or condescending her? And so I was able to say, it's like, I'm going to frame this, and I'm not saying this at all to upset you, but I love how you bounce when you walk. I said it, and it just makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And it was a kind of a positive information of, don't let anybody else take away your sparkle in the work that you do,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it resonates through. And again, you don't have to be in a restaurant. You can be an accountant. You can be a doctor. You can be someone on the construction site. Just be careful bouncing. If you're high up, you may bounce off the top of the building. We don't want to read about you in the newspaper, please. But there, and I think it goes both ways. And people, unfortunately, sometimes we hit that autopilot button and we don't really focus on how our energy or our behavior is impacting people around us. So if you're having a bad day, recognize it, but then do your best to go, what? I'm having a bad day, but I'm gonna do my best not to have this impact other people.
Right.
Own it and say, how are you doing? It's like, eh, the struggles persist, but so do I. Or I'm not having a good day. And if they say, well, what's going on? And sometimes just, sharing it helps you create that sense of belonging and community, which again, I think is a huge component why I'm a big supporter of, locally owned establishments, because again, you get that. And not saying that I'm against any of the big box places or the chains or anything like that. They're doing their part to serve the community as well. But if it's someone that's local, again, I just find it a little bit easier to create those relationships. And again, I make it part of my routine, and yeah, it doesn't mean I go all the time, but it's part of it. And it's like, okay, I want to do this because it helps me in designing my life, how I want my life to feel and be and all of that. And uh, it's it's intent. And just like in life, there's intent. Go in, be a good customer, help your server help you,
Yeah.
make that experience beneficial because believe me, it pays huge dividends. You go in, especially if you frequent a restaurant all the time, they see you in. Next thing you know, you sit down, and I think there's a breakfast place that we go to from time to time. We'll go in, we'll sit down. The wait person will come over. They've got tea for my wife, black coffee for me. They set it
Yeah.
down. They say, "Do you want menus today or no?" And yeah, it's literally it's as if they know us. We're just like we sit down and it's there, and you go, "Wow, this is customized." It's they know, and there's the old Cheers television show, go where everybody knows your name kind of thing, and there's something about that. It's that belonging that comes into it. So when you're going to a restaurant or you have your accounting firm for your business or an appliance store that you buy your appliances from, whatever, if the people are there that are frequently there, you get to know them a little bit. And with this AI thing and everything being automated and social media, which is actually antisocial, it just makes life more full. And when people are struggling, they're burned out and all of that, it's one of the first things I tell them to do. It's like, what have you done to experience life lately? And they like, what do you mean? And it's like, well, come up with some ideas. And when you do that, it makes those challenging days at work a little bit easier. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, of course. There was talking about getting to know people. There was this it was a long time ago that I read it, and I forget who wrote it, but it was a book written by like a well-known CEO, and he talked about in the book that he knew everybody's name. Like he made it a point to know the janitor's name, all the way up until the, executive level, obviously, but it makes such a difference when you acknowledge someone, and especially if you know their name. Like ask your server, like, hey, what's your name? And then when you're asking for things, you aren't, hey, miss, and it becomes so impersonal. And I think, in becoming in feeling that belonging that we're talking about, referring to somebody by their name is like a great first step. I think it acknowledges that you care, that you want to get to know this person. So I think that's wonderful. I also think like in the serving industry, when you go in, you may have problems. You may be having an off day, but the reverse is true for the server too. Like I remember there was a couple of years ago, I had to go in for surgery and I'd never had surgery before and I was petrified. And just the weeks leading up to it, I was just not myself. And I was so sensitive to everything. Like somebody would just not even make a bad complaint. They would just point something out and it would just hurt me so deeply because I wasn't myself. Like I was, waiting for this surgery and I wasn't happy about it either. So I think just recognizing that people who you're talking to may also have their own problems, and just being sort of sensitive to that and in the way that you frame and you say things to people, I think is also a great way to show people you care and to spread kindness in your community. And hey, if you're good to somebody, they're going to be good to you. Like, let me tell you, there are lots of people that come into the restaurant, but the ones that really make an effort with me, I like you had the black coffee and the tea come to you right away. I know those customers, and I will bring out their waters right away or their two ginger ales that they always order right away because we have that connection, that they've made that effort with me. I want to do the same in return. And at that point, like honestly, the tip doesn't even matter because they're just so kind to me. You know what I mean? So I think it just fuels this positivity when we act that way in public.
And if we do that in every aspect of our life, imagine what this world would look like.
I
It'd
know,
be
right?
it would be a much sweeter place than it can be.
Yep.
But ultimately, the work you do is important, not just in serving food, but bringing awareness of what happens in industry with your own show. I'll definitely have a link in the show notes for people to listen, even if you don't work in the industry. Understand it, because maybe you'll be a little bit better of a customer and understand some of the things. You'll laugh, you'll hear some stories of like they did what, and and it's yeah, just being a customer and observing other tables, and they go, oh boy, that one looks fun, and or it's like, oh, they're not going to tip. So I mean, I've been known to like, okay, I'm going to bump up my tip because I know that those guys aren't going to tip. I can tell already. I mean, that's judging. I own it, but I can sense it. And I'm not saying that I've never been wrong, but I tend to be sometimes right with that. They'll say, oh, yeah, that table stiffed me on the tip altogether. It's like, well, I'm glad that I gave you a little extra. So love this conversation, Yasmin. Love the work you do. Why don't you share a little bit as far as where people can find you?
Yeah. The Bitter Waitress podcast is available on Apple, Spotify. I've also got the video recordings on YouTube, so you can look up the channel Bitter Waitress. Like, follow, any support would be much appreciated. I really appreciate that.
Yep, I'll definitely get that in the show notes. So thank you again for serving all of us and continued success with the show and everything else you're doing. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Mike. Have a good one.